So today's a relatively interesting video. This was my very first job, and I wanna remind you I was 16 years old at the time. So this is 16 turning 17. Okay, I was 11th grade. So basically, to narrow it short, it's 2021 right now. Okay, I'm 16, 17 years old, and I'm looking at my bank account. It's dry. In all honesty, nothing's changed. Anyway. I go ahead and I ask my mum, who at the time was working at Coles. I said, hey, is there any positions open type deal? And she's like, yeah, there's a few positions going right now. All you need to do is apply online and I'll give you resume to the store manager who I know. Now, she had been working there, I think, like 2 or 3 years at the time. So she sort of knew everyone and she was sort of on the, the good board. So I was sort of guaranteed, you know what I mean? Because I knew she knew everyone, and they gave me a trial basically. So about a week before, I send in all my stuff. I do all like the online paperwork. They say, hey, we'll give you the position if you have a trial. And obviously, I didn't have a uniform or anything, so I used one of my mum's shirts, and I just wore my like long pants, and I wore some steel cap boots. And I walked in there. Now, I was not at the checkouts, and I was not part of fill, which is like, stacking shelves. I was a part of the deli. And the deli basically is, you serve the meats. Yeah, you put out all the display, and you do all like the hot box and all that stuff. Basic, anyone can do it. Anyone with two hands can go ahead and do it, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I walk in there and I meet my manager. Now, my manager, she was incredible. She was pretty down to earth. She had kids of her own, so she sort of knew what it was like having your first job. Now, me at this time had quite a lot of anxiety because I didn't really know how to speak to the general public. I didn't know how to do any of that. And so this was all very new to me. So basically what happens is I arrive there, I go through the doors, I'm already a bit shaky, you know what I mean? Because this is a new thing for me. I get through the door, she's like, oh, hairnet, wear your hat. Oh, here's your hat, here's your name badge. I got my name badge on, my hat. And she's like, wash your hands and all that. Tells me about how that's important, which is amazing. And then she goes, and she shows me the layout of everything. And that was cool. That was kosher, I wasn't doing much. And then she goes, all right, your first job will be to go and do these chickens. Now, they did hot chickens, like a lot of hot chickens. I'm talking like 72, like when you had opened, and then throughout the day you do another and another. And anyway, so I had to make them up. And so pretty much what that was or involved was grabbing these crates, and there were like maybe 10 of them, 10 crates, and they weren't that large. They were like milk crates, you know what I mean? Except like really long and shallow. And you would just take them off and you would put them out on these trays. So they went on these like big trays like that. You push them into this massive oven. And anyway, all I had to do was take it out and sprinkle them with like the seasoning and put them over, roll them, sprinkle them, put them down, put them down. You had to wear gloves, okay? You're wearing gloves all the time. And I was doing that, and I was a bit slow because I didn't really know what I was doing to a degree. I was really nervous, okay? And so that was very interesting. So anyway, I did all that, and then she goes, all right, there's a customer. Let's go serve him. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And she's like, come on, you got to go do it. I'm like, okay. So we go up, and she goes, all right, he's after 200 grams of double smoked ham. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? She goes, the bag, you grab the bag, it's like one of those rollout ones that you break off and, you open up and you put it in. So I put on my glove, right? I open one of the bags, I open the sliding door. I got to reach in. I put a handful in there. She goes, all right, put it up on the scale. And it was like 230. She's like, okay, now ask, is 230 good? Is that okay for him? I go, is 230 okay for you? He goes, can we go a bit lower? Okay. Take a little bit out, put it away. It was like 215. Is 215 okay? Yeah, that's okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, so now what? And she goes, all right. Now you got a code on the back, you know, and she's like, oh, this is how you do it. Ding, 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 ding. There's your code, you know, put it out. She's like, stick it on your apron, you know, so I did that. I took it out, and then you have to fold it a certain way. I still know how to roll it, like to wrap it up. It's like, you know, if you work at Subway, it's the exact same way, or any of those fast food joints like that. It's the exact same way. So I learned how to do that, put it up, rip, put it on, bang. And then she's like, that's very good. That's very good. Now I'm going to go. My shift's ended. It's all up to you now. And this other guy, and he wasn't really talkative. He was like, I think maybe 2 years older than me, but he was sort of like one of those shy people. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, okay. When's the end of my shift? And she's like, oh, it's 3 hours. You finish at 9. Okay. Okay, I'll learn how to close it. All good. So she nicks off, okay? He goes, right, we need to do this, this, this. I'm like, okay, man, I'm going to do the dishes, right? So I start doing the dishes, and there wasn't really anyone around this time, you know? The store had sort of like quietened down, you know? Do a bit of the dishes, you know, and all the above. And then a customer comes up behind me. He comes up. And he goes, and I'm like, oh boy, I really don't want to serve this guy. If I don't look, he might go away. He didn't go away. He didn't go away, all right? So I finished doing some of the dishes. I mustered up the courage to go up and face him. And I said, oh, hey, how you doing? What would you like today? Oh, I want 4 chicken legs, you know what I mean? And I was like, when I grabbed this bag and like put my glove on and all that, dude, I was shaking. I was like so shaky. I was so shaky, so nervous. So nervous to do this because I had never really, you know, done this before. Like I said, it was my first day, you know, and I put that in, I did that up, put it away, put it up there, scanned it, gave it to him, and he left. I was like, oh, thank goodness, you know, and then that was that. So maybe about an hour later, I'd done all the dishes I could, and it was starting to get down to the point where we had to do cleaning of the slicer. And the slicer was just like, you know, to shave up the meats and all that for the, you know, for the day. And so that had to be cleaned. So the dude went and he showed me, hey, this is what you do to take it apart. This is what you do. Watch the blade. You'll cut your finger off, which they had an incident, maybe I think it was like 2-3 months beforehand, where some guy wasn't watching with the slicer. And he looked away and he went like that, and he took off like this part of his like finger, like there. It was not good. But anyway, so he showed me how to do that, right? So I cleaned it, I finished it up, and then I hear this voice. Oh, Tristan. I look behind me. It's my freaking teacher, okay? It's my teacher. And no, he was a good guy. He was a good guy. He knew I was sort of very nervous, you know. I'm like, oh, hey, man, it's my first day. I don't really know. What can I get you? He goes, I want 2 chicken breasts, all right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Sounds good. Oh, no. Actually, did he say that? Yeah, he did. Anyway, I go give it to him. You know, he's sort of talking about, like, you know, all this and that. He talked about his first job type deal. I was sort of talking back. He sort of made me feel a bit more comfortable, which, thank you. If you ever watch this, my sport and rec teacher, you know who you are if you watch this. Thank you for that. That really meant a lot to me at the time. Trying to, you know, make me sort of calm in that because it was like my first day. It was very stressful, but thank you for that. Anyway, so I go ahead, I type in all the PLU, which is just like the combination code thing for it to mark it. And then, you know, I rapped for it, I gave it to him. He's like, oh, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm like, sounds good, sounds good. Anyway, so that all happened. And obviously, you know, an hour after that, you know, we start closing or whatnot. We put down all the paper and all that over the, you know, stuff so it doesn't dry out and all that. And it was great. And that was my first shift. It was stressful, but, you know, it was good. I was on $20 an hour. I worked for 3 hours, you know what I mean? And then the following week, I only did 1 shift to begin with. And then they gave me like 2 shifts. And then they're like, how do you really want to stay? I'm like, yeah, I'll stay. And I ended up working till, I think it was like a year and a half. You know what I mean? After that, around 12th grade, and it was great. It was fantastic to just start seeing, you know, the bank balance go up. It was so cool. It was so cool. But anyway, that was my first experience with my very first job, and that was great. You know, it was a very good place to start, and you know, it took me a while to sort of get over that nervousness of the customers and all that coming in. But dude, once I had done it for like, I don't know, maybe 5-6 weeks. there was times like another example was in like the Christmas holidays. We had 3 people in the deli because it was that busy, you know, and I had been trained in another department and another department. I was trained in the meat department, in the grocery fill department, and night fill. So I was like a multitask around there, you know, they'd call priority, I'd zip to the deli, and I'd serve like 3, 4, 5, 6 people, one after the other, like it was nothing. I was really on a roll at that point, but that was good. So anyway, that was my first job. It was it was very interesting, and you know, if you want to have a first job, it's very good to build up that social engagement and being able to talk to people. I recommend getting a job like that because, you know, being able to do that actually sort of helped me with this too. Believe it or not, it's true. So anyway, that was my first job. Yeah, we're up to June tomorrow. That's going to be, you know, very, very interesting. I don't really know what I'm going to do in June, but I guess you guys will find out tomorrow. So I'll see you then.